Okay, so even, I gotta admit, I have no idea how to prep for a deep dive like this one because it's not like we're just looking at some topic. It's like reality itself is having a meltdown.
Yeah,
And I know that sounds dramatic, but how else do you describe it when math itself starts going haywire?
right.
So if you're just tuning in, you've probably noticed some things are a bit off calculators showing different answers. Planes are grounded because the navigation systems are going bonkers.
Yeah.
It's not a drill, folks. Math, the most basic language of the universe. It's glitching out on us.
Like, it's not just that our calculators are giving us the wrong answers. It's like the code of the universe is malfunctioning.
And to make it even weirder, it's not like some little bug. It's everywhere all at once.
Everywhere at the same time.
Exactly. It's only been like 24 hours since those first reports started popping up, but it's snowballed, man. It's a global what the moment for everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
So we're going straight to the source, the big players trying to figure this out, just like the rest of us.
And let me tell you, what they're finding is both alarming and seriously baffling.
No kidding. Let's start with the World Health Organization. Never thought I'd be saying that in a math crisis.
Right.
They've sent out a global advisory already, and get this, they're telling people to avoid doing complicated calculations.
Wow.
And not for any practical reason, but for our own mental well-being.
Really?
Apparently, all this math uncertainty is stressing people out big time.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, it makes sense, right? Our brains are wired to look for patterns and predictability.
Absolutely. It just shows how deeply we rely on math being consistent.
Right.
We've built our entire world on these predictable mathematical rules, and now suddenly that foundation is cracking. That's got to be unsettling.
And it's not just theoretical stuff either. The European Space Agency, they had to ground every single space mission, every single one.
Wow.
Imagine being up in the International Space Station, you're looking down at Earth, and suddenly mission control gets on the line, and they're like, uh-oh, we have no idea where you're going to land because your trajectory is doing the cha-cha slide.
Oh, man, that's got to be scary.
Terrifying, right?
Absolutely.
And things aren't much better back here on Earth either. The U.S. Department of Transportation, they're freaking out too. Planes are stuck on the ground because the navigation systems are basically speaking gibberish.
Oh, no.
Air traffic control is back to using binoculars and hand signals. It's like we've been thrown back a century in aviation technology overnight.
It's wild when you think about it. All of our systems, from transportation to communication, rely on complex math.
Totally.
And this disruption just shows how vulnerable those systems really are.
And it's not just these big organizations feeling the heat either, you know?
Yeah.
It's weird how you can hear about these global events, but they don't really hit home until you talk to someone directly affected.
Oh, for sure.
That happened to me this morning. I was talking to my sister.
Yeah.
She's a high school math teacher. And let's just say her day yesterday was interesting. So she's teaching her class, right? Going through these basic equations like multiplication tables and fractions, the kind of stuff that's like breathing to math teachers.
Right.
And the kids start looking at her like she's grown a second head.
Oh, no.
Turns out they're all getting different answers to the same problem.
You're kidding me. So it's not just calculators. It's like basic arithmetic is broken.
That's the thing. At first, she thought they were messing with her. You know how kids can be.
Yeah.
But then she starts doing the problems herself. Different calculator whiteboard, even tried it on her phone. And nope, every single time a different answer pops up.
Wow.
3 times 5 equals, who even knows at this point? It's like the universe forgot its multiplication tables.
And that's what makes this so unsettling, right?
Right.
If it were a consistent error, we could adjust. We could figure out some workarounds.
Yeah.
But with this randomness, it's like the ground is constantly shifting under our feet.
Tell me about it. And this isn't just some minor inconvenience either. I was talking to a friend of mine this morning. He's a financial analyst. You know, the guys who are supposed to make sense of the stock market?
Yeah.
He said, trying to do his job right now is like swimming through a sea of mathematical soup.
Oh, man.
Algorithms are spitting out garbage data. Stock prices are going all over the place, and trading has basically stopped because nobody knows what anything is actually worth anymore.
It's fascinating, isn't it, the financial markets? They're such a perfect example of how much we depend on these complex mathematical models.
Totally.
These systems are doing millions, billions of calculations every second. And when those calculations become unreliable, well,
The whole thing just crashes.
exactly like a house of cards.
Which is not great.
Yeah.
But you know what? As much as I love a good Wall Street meltdown story, we've got a real expert lined up to break this all down for us.
Oh, cool.
You're listening to The Deep Dive. And after a quick word from our sponsors, we'll be talking to Dr. Sarah Ward, a mathematician from Cambridge University, about what's really going on with the fabric of reality.
Dr. Ward's work is incredible. I'm really looking forward to hearing her take on all of this.
Me too, Dr. Ward. Thank you so much for joining us today.
It's my pleasure, although I have to admit, I never thought I'd be discussing the potential collapse of mathematics as we know it.
Right. It's like something out of a science fiction movie, but here we are. So let's cut to the chase. What's happening? Is there any precedent for this in the history of, well, numbers?
To be honest, no, not at all. What we're seeing is a complete breakdown of what we always considered to be fundamental mathematical principles.
Okay.
Constants like
Mm-hmm.
pi, 3.14159.
Mm-hmm.
And so on the one that's supposed to be constant, well, it's fluctuating. And equations that should give us the same result every time are producing variations with each attempt. It's like the universal language of mathematics is no longer translating correctly.
So it's not that our calculators are broken, it's that the actual building blocks of math are wobbly broken. What does that even mean?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Imagine a world where the rules of logic themselves are fluid, unpredictable. It's hard to even wrap your head around, but that seems to be the reality we're facing now.
This is seriously blowing my mind. So any theories on what's causing this cosmic rays alien interference? Did someone spill their coffee on the universal mainframe?
Well, we're still in the very early stages of trying to understand this, but there are some interesting theories floating around.
Okay.
Some physicists have proposed that we might be experiencing a large-scale quantum disturbance.
A quantum what now?
Think of it like ripples in the fabric of reality that are changing not just our perception, but also how these mathematical constants interact with the physical world.
That's a chilling thought, but it does make you wonder, could this change everything we thought we knew about physics and the universe? If math, the supposed bedrock of reality, is this fragile, what else might we have gotten wrong?
Okay, so the universe is basically running on a glitching operating system. That's a lot to take in. But right now, I think we're all looking for some practical advice here, Dr. Ward. With everything that's going on, what can people do to stay safe in this new reality where 2 plus 2 might equal a potato or something?
It's a strange new world, that's for sure. The most important thing right now is to minimize our reliance on systems that depend on precise calculations.
So basically, anything that uses a computer chip is a gamble.
Essentially, yes. Navigation systems, financial transactions, even some home appliances, they all rely on complex algorithms that are vulnerable to this mathematical disruption. If you have to use them, proceed with caution and be prepared for the unexpected.
It's true. We've built our entire world on this assumption that technology is reliable, predictable, and now this crisis is showing us just how fragile that assumption was all along.
It's like we've been driving around in a car with no brakes this whole time, and we're just now realizing it. So less reliance on tech. Got it.
What about going old school? If even calculators are spinning out random numbers, should we all be brushing up on our abacus skills?
It's not a bad idea to have some backup methods, but even manual calculations might not be entirely reliable right now. The truth is we're still trying to understand just how deep and how unpredictable this disruption really is. Okay, so maybe the abacus isn't the answer after all. But on a more serious note, a lot of people are worried about basic necessities. I've seen chatter online about potential disruptions to supply chains, grocery stores running out of food. Is it time to stock up on canned goods and bottled water?
Well, given the current instability, it's always wise to be prepared. Having a supply of non-perishable food, water, and any essential medications is a good idea in any emergency situation.
Especially now with the global financial system teetering on the brink like this, the ripple effects of this mathematical disruption could impact everything from food production to transportation networks.
This is heavy stuff. Yeah. And it's understandable that people are looking for answers, some kind of explanation that can help make sense of all this chaos. We talked about the quantum field disturbance theory. But what about some of these other ideas that are floating around out there? I even saw a headline about a reality fracture. Like, is our universe colliding with another dimension where math works differently or something?
It's a dramatic idea for sure. The reality fracture theory suggests that what we're experiencing is a sort of bleed-through from another dimension where different mathematical rules apply. It's a fascinating concept, but so far there's no real evidence to support it.
So more science fiction than actual science. I guess in times like these, it's easy to let the imagination run a little wild.
It's important to stay curious and open-minded, but also to ground ourselves in the information we have from credible sources. Don't be afraid to question what you see and hear and rely on reputable scientific institutions for guidance.
Solid advice, Dr. Ward. So what's the takeaway for our listeners today? The world is literally making less sense by the minute the very fabric of reality seems to be unraveling. What do we do?
First and foremost, don't panic. We're all in this together, and human beings are incredibly resilient. We're good at adapting and overcoming challenges.
I love that resilience. We've got this.
We do. Stay informed, stay connected with your communities, and don't underestimate the power of human ingenuity to find solutions, even in the face of the most daunting challenges.
You heard it here, folks. The universe might be throwing us a serious curveball, but we're a species that survived ice ages, plagues, and even disco. A little mathematical mayhem isn't going to stop us now. Stay curious, stay connected, and remember, you're not alone in this wild, unpredictable, and increasingly nonsensical ride we call reality. This has been the Deep Dive signing off for now.